Well, hi there. My name is Pat Fader, and I will be your instructor for ITNET-112. First things first, thanks for watching this. I'm going to try to, the intent of this lecture or screencast is to cover the same content that I would typically cover in a face-to-face class, on the first meeting. So basically, how do I teach a class? How do I determine your grade? What resources are we going to use, etc. So let's get rolling. First things first, who am I? I've been teaching at MATC and actually in the technical college system for 17 years now. Prior to teaching, I worked as an engineer. I worked for GE Medical Systems out in Waukesha, and then a smaller company out in Heartland, Wisconsin. And then from there, I jumped into teaching. I've taught everything from PC repair, Cisco, Microsoft, the VMware VCP course. I love teaching them all. Each one has its own unique. The thing I liked about it, probably my most favorite class to teach in a face-to-face format was that VMware class. And the reason I liked that is that it pulled together the material that you learned in Cisco, the material that you learned in this Microsoft class, and it kind of wraps some things up. So I really enjoyed that part about it. Okay, so just in case you happen to click on this link and you're wondering what this is all about, this screencast is one of the first things you should do when completing assignment number 1 in ITNET-112. So if you haven't seen that yet, all the assignments for my courses are posted under assignments here. Assignment number 1. So this is like a Google Doc. You run through that. You watch a bunch of videos, answer some questions, and then you post your responses in the discussion board. Alrighty. The one thing that you have to do in an online class, probably the biggest challenge is missing information in an online class. So what I do is everything that you need to know, I put in the syllabus, and I also put in our announcements. So if we look at the announcements right now, we see the first one that went out just a few days ago was just talking about what you have to buy for the class. What resources do we have? And this class is actually something new, and I'll talk about that in a bit. But the only product you have to buy is the LabSim product that's called Server Pro Install and Configure. I've got the ISBN number here. It's in our bookstore, and you can also buy it online through the publisher, and I have the information on how to do that here as well. So what do you need? You need to use what do you need to buy? You need to buy a LabSim for our course. And I guess I can jump into this point. Oh, here, you know what? The next announcement kind of leads into that. So starting this semester, we've moved ITNET-112 from Server 2008 to Server 2012. The new exam that this course maps to is Microsoft's Exam 70-410, Installing and Configuring Windows Server 2012. If you Google this, you can kind of see what the exam objectives are, and our course objectives would align with the exam objectives. This semester, you'll base what you're working on, or your main flow of information will come from 3 sources. One will be the test out product, and I'm sure you've used that in previous classes like ITNET-110 or ITNET-101 at MATC. So we'll be using a test out product for this course. We'll also rely on the CBT Nugget series, the 70-410 CBT Nugget series. And lastly, we wrote some labs. The instructors, a couple of instructors and myself, wrote the labs for the course this semester. So they're all embedded in the syllabus. We'll take a look at those in a bit. The reason that we did this is in the past, we used similar resources, plus we had students buy a textbook, and it was just too much information. So we decided that what we would do is we'd use a LabSim as kind of the foundation for the course, and then we would use a CBT Nuggets to add additional information, and then we'd use the labs that we wrote to reinforce the material that you learned both in the LabSim and the CBT Nuggets. So those are the resources that we're using, and to briefly, reason why. Let's walk through the syllabus real quick. So first, in summary so far, always read the announcements. What do you have to buy? I've listed the product out in the announcements here, and it's in the bookstore as well as directly from the publisher. The CBT Nuggets, they're free. As an MATC student, you have access to those. And there are, if you've gone to CBT Nuggets, they have a crazy number of videos created. So let's just pick Microsoft here. And there are tons and tons and tons of Microsoft videos. Since our class maps to Microsoft Exam 7410, it's pretty easy to find the nugget that maps to our course. Here it is. And these are the videos that you'll be watching throughout the semester. I encourage you to get in the habit of watching 2 a week. So when it comes to budgeting your time each week, give yourself enough time, about an hour, hour and a half, to watch 2 of these. And think of this as the same amount of time you'd spend coming to MATC and listening to someone lecture. All right, so we're going to the syllabus. How do you get there? I've got a syllabus link, and that just goes directly to my syllabus. I think if I run through this, you'll get a real good overview of the course. So there's my name, office, M410. Actually, I don't know why I put M410. It should be M408. Room adjoins to M410. My phone number. Boy, I have all kinds of errors. I'm just going back to MATC's phone. I'm not using a Google Voice anymore. The MATC's phone system was upgraded, so now the nice thing is if someone leaves me a message, it just gets emailed to me. My website, I'm biased, but I think it's pretty good. I think it's pretty helpful. So I've just tried to create a site as a place to collect a bunch of information for you. It's also where I post my screencasts. So if we look at ITNET-112, the screencasts that directly relate to the semester is the orientation screencast. You're watching that now. I created a video called a lab setup video that walks through how to use or how to do your labs this semester, and then some just additional information. So let's jump back to the syllabus. Well, actually, let's see here. Yeah, we'll jump back to the syllabus. Okay, so always read the announcements, read the syllabus. It's long, but just please go through it. Spend your time doing assignment number 1. That's the first thing you should do in one of my classes. It's going to take a while, I know, and there's probably more detail than you need, but my thought is I really want to make sure that everybody starts off knowing what's expected of them for the semester. And that's covered in assignment number 1. Class schedule. If you've had me for an online class before, you know that when the semester starts, I try to have everything set up and ready to go so that some people like to work ahead, and I love that. Makes the end of my semester a little bit easier because people are wrapping things up earlier, so I can work on grading a little sooner. Okay, so I have laid out each week what you should be doing. So the first week of class, September 1st to September 8th, what should you do? You should do assignment number 1. All right, you saw that the assignments are posted under assignments in Blackboard, and you should watch the following CBT nugget. Done deal. I'm already seeing a bug in my syllabus. I'll probably add an additional lab sim module here, so you might see a slightly different version. Week 2, assignment number 2. This is kind of a critical assignment, the lab setup assignment. And there's a screencast that you'll watch associated with this that will explain how to use the pre-configured virtual machines to do your labs. I'm not going to grade your labs, but you hurt my feelings if you don't do them, because I spent a lot of time writing them over the summer and last spring. But it really is a great way to reinforce the concepts, and you'll use VMware Workstation to do that. So take a look at assignment number 2, and you'll get a better idea of what's expected. Something that's new is that you do need to get a copy of our VMs. You really can't create them on your own at home. So stop by lab. We'll look at my lab hours in a second. And I'll give you a copy. Just bring a USB drive in. Or if you'd like, if you can't make it to my lab, drop me an email and we'll try to figure out another way of getting you the machines. Okay, so week 2, you are going to do assignment number 2. You're going to do the following lab sims out of your lab sim product. You're going to watch this CBT nugget, and then you've got a video or a lab to do. And this lab 0, is it's a required component of assignment number 2. I just kind of added it here to keep the format of the information consistent. Week 3, a bunch more lab sims, a few more videos to watch, and a couple labs that we wrote. So let's just take a look at one of these labs real quick. Lab 2. I give you at the start of the lab, I give you a little topology of what the virtual machines will look like that you're working with. I tell you what snapshot to roll your machines, your virtual machines to to create this configuration, and then we just have step-by-step instructions that walk you through the activities. And the idea of the labs are to reinforce the content that you saw in the LabSim product as well as the CBT Nugget videos. I think I'm really excited about this. In the past, a lot of times we'd buy a book from we'd use a book for a course, and we'd end up rewriting half the labs because they wouldn't work in a virtualized environment, or there's something about our lab that was set up that was different than the way the book was written, and it got really confusing for the students, and I think that resulted in a lot of students just saying, skip it, I'm not doing any labs. So I really hope that this new format will allow, as a student, it'll encourage you and it'll enable you to get more hands-on experience. Okay. Let's talk real quick about my lab hours or office hours. This is going to change, so again, you'll have to check this link on your own. As of right now, you can come in on Tuesdays. I'll have another day during the week that you can come in as well. Additionally, we're going to hire a lab assistant, and he will have lab hours one night a week. So you'll be able to come down one night a week. You'll be able to come down during the days as well during the week. That was kind of hard to say. All right. So class schedule, the class due dates. That's kind of redundant because the class due dates are part of the whole class schedule. Again, this little table here at the end covers everything that you should be doing each week. And it's long. Okay. Late assignments, I really just I do penalize people if they turn something in late. Now, if you anticipate a problem, I know life happens. If you can contact me ahead of time and just say, Pat, my kids are off for spring break, a different time than MATC. We're going to head out of town for this week. Do you mind if I do the assignment when I get back? I won't deduct you for that. It's more when something is due on a Monday and then you contact me Monday night and you say, I don't get the assignment, my computer crashed. In my mind, that's like you need to plan ahead better for that. So if you let me know if there's a problem coming up, we can handle that. Course objectives, like I mentioned, this class maps to Microsoft Exam 70-410, which means that after taking the class, if you want to go out and get Microsoft certified, you can do that. Now, I always tell students they're about 80% of the way there after the course. Once you've completed the class, there's still Microsoft still tests you on a bunch of I don't know what to call it, just real detailed type information that requires kind of memory, additional memory work. At MATC, we don't teach to the exam, we try to teach you the material, and then afterwards you are prepared. You're pretty far along the way in actually getting Microsoft certified. Course withdrawal. It's always better for you to withdraw yourself from a course, especially if it's early on in the semester, because that can trigger a refund, if a partial refund. If the instructor drops you from a course, well, then there's zero refund. That's just an MATC policy. Required text, like I mentioned already, we'll be using a LabSim and CBT Nugget series and the labs written by the instructors. So this is the main source of information. And then additionally, like when you're looking at some of my labs, I've added a link with additional material. There's so much information online, it almost seems that was another reason why we decided to skip the book. As we come across information or websites that complement what you're learning each week, it's a lot easier to post a link, and which is real time and more up to date than what can be in a printed piece of material. The assumption is that you've had ITNET-110 already prior to taking this course, so you should feel pretty comfortable in working with VMware Workstation and have some background with Microsoft operating systems. The lab activities, like I mentioned, if we jump back to the end of the syllabus, there's a bunch of labs that we wrote, about 15, 20 labs. These labs all require you to be running VMware Workstation and obviously getting a copy of our VMs. What I'm kind of pausing on is you're gonna want to have a system with at least 4 gigabytes of RAM, and that's like the bare minimum. And with that, you should be able to run most or all the labs, because although our environment that we created for you, here's a diagram of it, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 virtual machines that we created for your labs. You're always only running 1 or 2 machines at a time, so 4 gigabytes is enough, barely, to run your host computer plus 2 virtual machines. I always tell students when you're looking at memory allocation, I have more information on that in the assignment number 2 in the screencast I have you watch for that assignment. So I'll stop talking about that for now. But anyways, we did create 5 machines. Here's kind of like the folder structure that we have in our lab. So if you come to lab and if you copy ITNet Gold root, there'll be multiple folders in here. The 2 that I care about are the ISOs folder that has the ISOs of the different operating systems that we have used in our courses at MATC. Really the only one that you need is our Server 2012 one. I just see an issue here. We'll have to take a look at it. I'm surprised that I don't see Server 2012 R2 in there, because our labs are actually based on Server 2012 R2. R2 is just like the second version of it. Has additional features and additional enhancements over Server 2012. Okay, so that's the ISOs folder, and then our ITNET-112 folder has has the 5 virtual machines that we created, and each virtual machine has multiple snapshots associated with it. I'm surprised this ISOs folder is here. That might be moved the next time you if you come to lab. Anyhow, here's our R2 ISO. the R2 ISO will be somewhere, either in the 112 folder or the ISOs folder. Okay, I can minimize this. And we can jump back up to the syllabus here. I know I'm going a long time, but I'm trying to cover everything in detail for you. If for some reason you're unable to run VMware Workstation at home, and what you're going to need VMware Workstation for are the labs that the faculty have written, or that I've helped write. Everything else can be done on a system, a lower end system. But we will have computers around MATC that you can run VMware Workstation on. I'll have to update this list, so the syllabus will be updated before the semester starts. And these are just machines that will have VMware Workstation installed. What you're still going to need, though, is you're going to need to copy our virtual machines onto some type of media. The best thing would be an external USB drive, and they're pretty reasonable. Don't run them off a flash drive. Get an actual external USB drive, so not a thumb drive. And if we just do a quick look on external USB drive, okay, here's a couple right in the 99. And I know they've got some. We can get them for about $70. Here we go. $69.99 for a 1 terabyte USB drive. The one thing I'd want to verify is that it's USB 3.0. Yeah. I just hate to have you buy something that's outdated. USB 3.0 is much faster than USB 2.0, and it makes, even when you come to lab to copy our VMs, it runs a lot quicker. With it takes about 1/10 the time to copy onto a USB 3.0 device. So it's something you can consider getting if you don't have one yet. It'd be a good investment for your education. The amount of space that is required for this class, probably about 60, 70 gigabytes. Not that big. I mean, you're hard pressed to buy a drive nowadays that's under half a terabyte or 500 gigabytes. I mean, here you can see now 1 terabyte, free shipping, $70. So pretty reasonable. Talked about USB drives. Logon links, as a student you have access to the VMware Academy. That's where you get VMware Workstation or VMware Fusion. Our virtual machines will run on a Mac under VMware Fusion, or on a Windows system, VMware Workstation. You can use the DreamSpark site to get operating systems like Server 2012. Again, if you come to lab and copy ours, you're not going to need to use the DreamSpark site, but it is there available to you. and the CBT Nuggets site as well. That's going to be critical because that's half the course. A lot of the material comes out of the Nuggets. And I do have a link under Student Software. If you go to my web page and you click on Student Software, here are the three main logon links to access those resources, and a little information on buying the LabSim product right here as well, and then additional information about kind of resetting your password, and if there's a problem, you should email me and I will forward your request on to our support person. So I'm kind of the first line of defense. I anticipate all of our accounts, the DreamSpark, VMware, and CBT Nuggets being created by Labor Day, so the second week of the semester, which is the first week for our online class. Our online class is delayed a bit. This is something that's new as well. Let's see, we're getting down to it. Well, this is boring. Discussion boards. I still use discussion boards for our online classes. The ones that I use this semester for us are Ask the Class. So if you have a question, start here. Post a question, see if somebody else can help you out. And there's a discussion board associated with each of the assignments, assignment 1 and assignment 2. I cut back on the number of assignments this semester, partially because it's brand new curriculum with labs that we've created, and I just think this semester, just being that you're the first group of students through it, it made sense to minimize the amount of work that is required of you. What I still will do is, as the semester goes on, I'll send emails out saying, something to the effect, the following assignment isn't required, but in future semesters I'll probably have students go out and go to the site and do these activities. So at least you can experience or check out you won't miss out on anything. But from a grading perspective, I've only got 2 assignments, and you've got 2 assignments plus the LabSim content. Virtualization, we mentioned VMware Workstation or Fusion. Okay, here, how do I figure your grades out? There, see, there will be 2 assignments this semester, but I will make additional information available to you throughout the semester, so you're not going to miss out on any information. Let's see if I can find a percentage breakdown real quick. Here we go. Assignments 1 and 2 make up 10% of your grade. The lab sims make up 70% of your grade. And as far as a lab sim goes, you're kind of doing, there's 10 sections in your lab sim. All right? Up through DHCP. There's actually 12. The last 2 are kind of preparing you for a certification exam, but from a grading perspective, I'm looking at sections 1 through 10 here. And these sections are comprised of both, well, they have let's see if I can jump into it real quick. Come on, here we go. So we've got 10 sections. I'll just pick a section, Active Directory. So the little head is a lecture. The computer monitor is a demonstration. And if you see a mouse, that's a hands-on activity. So I will be basing your grades on, you have to do all the hands-on activities, all the little mice deals, as well as all the practice questions at the end of each section. So that's kind of where I'll be determining your grade for the lab sim from. And that, as mentioned, makes up a significant portion of your final grade. And the hands-on final, let's talk about that real quick. It's different. If you had me for ITNET-110, it's a little bit different. This year what we're doing is we're using the hands-on final that LabSim created. You're like, what? I didn't know LabSim had a final, hands-on final. Well, yes, they do. They actually have a certification. So once you go to your account home, and I have to enable this, I won't even make your exam available until partway through the semester. Probably the last 2 weeks I'll enable it. And you can see I was just messing around with it today, and I didn't fail it as bad as you would think. I just started it and closed it. Here, let's take a look at we'll look at one that we'll be using for ITNET-111. So you'll have the ability to take certification exam, the one that you would take, would actually be our Test Out Server Pro Install and Configure. No, I did not get a I did not fail at this miserably. I just started it to see what it looked like. All right, we'll start it up. Now I'm going to fail another one miserably. So you have 2 hours, and this one only has 12 questions, but they typically have up to 15 questions. So that is what it looks like. So the hands-on final consists of, well, in your case, it will be 15 hands-on activities, and those hands-on activities are going to be based on the hands-on activities you do all semester long. Additionally, there is a practice section part of your lab sim right here at the end, Windows Server practice exams, and the very last item consists of 15 practice questions, and these are pretty close to what you'll see in the hands-on final. So when it comes to preparing for the hands-on final, you should have run through all of these, as well as completed all the hands-on activities throughout the semester, and then you'll do fine. So your score on this, on the certification exam, which will be launched from the account homepage, your score there will be used as the hands-on final score. Also, if you pass it, Test Out will issue you, or say that you're certified, that you've attained their certification, their Server Pro Install and Configure certification. You know, that's not as recognized as Microsoft certification, obviously, but it's something you can put on your resume. Okay. Well, we're getting kind of close to the end here. So I've talked about how I figure your grades out. I've talked about this hands-on final, which is different than we've done in the past. We're using the Lab Sim software to implement it. But it consists of, they said it's 15 activities with a total of 50 different tasks. So, you know, if they're saying, you know, troubleshoot a network, do an IP config, change your IP setting, you know, so one activity might consist of 3 or 4 tasks. So anyways, that's your final score is being graded on your ability to complete those 50 tasks, which are grouped into 15 separate hands-on activities. And I've totally messed up that explanation, but forget what I've said and just take a look at the practice exam, and you'll see exactly what I'm talking about. 2 hours, 15 questions, and if you get a 95%, you will then earn Test Out's certification. Otherwise, if you don't get a 95%, you're not going to fail my class, but whatever you get, that's the score for the final exam from my class, which makes up 20% of your final grade. Okay, I'm just checking through my list of things to make sure I didn't forget anything, and I don't think I did. I really am looking forward to this semester. I'm looking forward to having you work through the Test Out product along with the CBT Nuggets, along with the labs that we've created for you. And I'll make myself available to answer questions, obviously, via email, or if you want to swing on down and meet me in lab sometime, I'd be glad to do that as well. I hope you have a great semester, and I hope you learn a lot. For those of you that want to pursue like a Microsoft certification, just so again a more recognized certification, I do have a bit of information on that on my website too, under IT certification, and I just have a little document here that shows what certifications our classes map to. So ITNET-112 maps to Microsoft exam 70-410. I have a bit of information about how to take the exam at half price. Microsoft exams, I've even got a phone number you can call, as well as a website you can go to take the test. That is it. Have a great semester, and I look forward to, if you stop in, getting to know you a bit. I'm sure I'll see a lot of you when you come down to actually copy the virtual machines that's required for the course. Thanks. Have a great day.